Imagine a circle of beaten earth, surrounded by the smell of sweat, horse manure, and the roar of 10,000 screaming soldiers. In the center stands a man, a prince, strong, wealthy, and confident. He has traveled weeks across the brutal steppes of Central Asia for this exact moment. He strips off his heavy furs, revealing muscles built for war. He looks at his opponent. His opponent is not a giant. His opponent is not a monster. It is a young woman. Her eyes are dark, focused, and completely empty of fear. The crowd goes silent. The stakes of this match are terrifying. If the prince wins, he gets the woman. He marries the most powerful princess in the Mongol Empire. But if he loses, he does not just lose his pride, he loses his fortune. This woman is Khutulun, and she is not just a princess, she is a collector of horses, and every single horse in her massive herd represents a man she broke into pieces in the dust. To understand why a royal princess was wrestling men in the dirt instead of sitting on a throne, we have to go back. We have to understand the world that created her. This is not the fairy tale version of history. This is the 13th century, and the Mongol Empire is tearing itself apart. Genghis Khan is dead. The largest empire the world has ever seen has fractured into civil war. In the east, in China, sits the great Kublai Khan. He has become soft. He wears silk robes, drinks wine from golden cups, and lives in a palace. He has forgotten the old ways. But in the west, in the wild, freezing plains of Central Asia, there is a man who remembers. Kaidu Khan, the cousin of Kublai. Kaidu hates the soft life. He believes the Mongols were born on the saddle and should die on the saddle. He is a traditionalist, a hard man for a hard land. He spends his entire life fighting a desperate war against his own cousin to preserve the soul of the Mongol people. And in this chaos, in the middle of a war zone, he has a daughter, Khutulun. She is born into the saddle. Most princesses in history are pawns. They are born to be traded. A king has a daughter so he can marry her to a neighbor and stop a war. That is their only value. They are taught to be quiet, to be submissive, to weave, and to wait. Khutulun is different. She has 14 brothers. 14. In any other family, she would have been invisible. She should have been forgotten. But she is physically gifted in a way that is almost frightening. By the time she's a teenager, she is taller than most of her brothers. She is stronger than the guards. Kaidu Khan watches her carefully. He sees something in her that he doesn't see in his sons. He sees the spirit of Genghis. He sees a killer. So he makes a decision that changes history. He does not send her to the women's tent. He sends her to the army. She learns the bow, she learns the sword, but mostly she learns the wrestler's grip. Mongol wrestling, or buk, is not a game. It is a martial art designed to train soldiers for close quarters combat. There are no weight classes. There are no time limits. You fight until someone hits the ground. Khutulun becomes obsessed. She trains until her hands are calloused and her skin is tough as leather. She begins riding with her father into actual battles. We are talking about full-scale cavalry charges, arrows darkening the sky, the sound of steel crushing bone. Marco Polo, the famous traveler, later wrote about her. He was terrified of her. He described her on the battlefield like a demon. He wrote that while the armies were clashing, she would spot an enemy officer in the crowd. She would not shoot him. She would gallop her horse through the chaos, smash into his line, grab the man off his horse with her bare hands, and drag him back to her father like a hawk snatching a rabbit. She's a weapon. She is her father's right hand. She is the favorite child. And that is where the trouble begins. Because in the Mongol Empire, a woman of her status must do one thing eventually. She must marry. Her father needs alliances. The war against Kublai Khan is going badly. They need men, they need weapons, and they need support. The easiest way to get that is to marry Khutulun to a powerful warlord. Suitors start arriving. Kings, princes, generals. They all want her. She is beautiful, she is royal, and she is famous. But Khutulun looks at these men, these warriors who want to own her, and she feels nothing but contempt. She is a wolf, and they are dogs. She refuses to be sold. She refuses to be traded like cattle. But she cannot defy her father openly. That is treason. So she comes up with a plan. A plan so crazy, so arrogant, that nobody believes she is serious. She goes to her father and says, "I will marry, but on one condition." Her father, Kaidu Khan, looks at her. He is tired of the war. He needs this marriage. "What is the condition?" he asks. Khutulun stands before the entire court and issues a public decree. It is simple, it is brutal, and it is a trap. She says, "I will marry any man of any rank, from any tribe, who can defeat me in wrestling. But if he challenges me and loses, he must give me 100 horses." The court laughs. They think it is a joke. A woman challenging the greatest warriors of the steppe to physical combat? It is unheard of. It is insulting. But the men hear the offer, and their eyes light up. They don't see a trap. They see an easy victory. They see a girl who doesn't know her place. They think, "I am a soldier. I have killed men. How hard can it be to pin a princess?" The challenges begin immediately. The first man steps into the ring. He is confident. He smiles at the crowd. The match lasts less than 10 seconds. Khutulun moves like water. She uses his own weight against him, hooks his leg, and slams him into the earth so hard the breath leaves his body. He stands up, dusty, humiliated, and 100 horses poorer. The next man tries. He is bigger. He thinks strength is the answer. He charges her like a bull. She sidesteps, locks her arm around his neck, and throws him. Another 100 horses. It becomes a spectacle. It becomes the most famous event in Central Asia. Word spreads across the Silk Road. From Russia to China, men hear the whisper, "There is an unbeatable virgin princess in the West. If you beat her, you become royalty." They come in waves. Young, old, experienced, reckless. It doesn't matter. Khutulun destroys them all. Her herd of horses grows. It goes from 100 to 500 to 1,000. She has to hire servants just to manage the winnings of her victories. But then, around the year 1280, a rumor spreads through the camp. Someone special is coming. A prince from a neighboring kingdom arrives. He is not like the others. He is the son of a wealthy king who rules a strategic territory. If Khutulun marries him, the alliance would make her father's army unstoppable. It could turn the tide of the war against Kublai Khan. This prince is handsome, he is powerful, and he is incredibly arrogant. He rides into the camp, looks at Khutulun, and laughs. He says, "I will not bet 100 horses. That is for peasants. I will bet 1,000 horses." The camp goes wild. 1,000 horses is a fortune. It is an empire's ransom. But there is a problem. Khutulun's parents, the king and queen, are watching. They are desperate. They pull Khutulun aside into the private tent. Her mother begs her. She says, "Please, look at him. He is handsome. He is rich. His father is our ally. Just let him win. Fall down. Make it look real, but let him win. We need this." Khutulun looks at her parents. She sees their desperation. She loves her father. She wants to help him win the war. So, for the first time, she agrees to consider it. She walks out to the ring, conflicted. The entire army is watching. The drums beat. The prince steps forward, stripping off his tunic. He looks strong. He looks capable. The referee signals the start. They lock arms. The crowd screams, and for a moment it looks like the prince might do it. He is strong. He pushes her back. Khutulun stumbles. The crowd gasps. Is she finally going to lose? Is she finally going to become a wife? But then something happens in Khutulun's eyes. The instinct takes over. The warrior brain that has kept her alive in cavalry charges snaps into focus. She cannot do it. She cannot submit. It is not in her blood. The prince tries to sweep her leg. Khutulun counters. She doesn't just stop him. She explodes into action. She grips his sash, pivots her hips, and executes a perfect throw. The prince flies through the air. Time seems to slow down. Her parents watch in horror. The prince watches the sky spin, and then, boom! He hits the ground. Dust rises. Silence falls. Khutulun stands over him, chest heaving, undefeated. She did not throw the match. She could not throw the match. The prince scrambles up, red-faced, shamed before thousands of people. He leaves the 1,000 horses and flees the camp before the sun sets. Khutulun now owns 10,000 horses. She's one of the wealthiest people in the empire, but she's alone. And this is where the story turns dark, because people start talking. The men are angry. They cannot understand it. Well, why? They ask. Why won't she marry? Why does she fight so hard? Does she hate men? And then a whisper starts in the dark corners of the yurts, a nasty, dangerous rumor, a rumor that threatens to destroy everything her father built. They say the reason she won't marry anyone is because she is already in love, but not with a suitor. The rumor is poison. It spreads faster than the plague. The soldiers whisper that Khutulun is not maintaining her virginity out of pride. They whisper that she is in an incestuous relationship with her own father, Kaidu Khan. Is it true? Almost certainly not. There is no historical evidence for it. But in the world of politics, the truth doesn't matter. Perception matters. The enemies of Kaidu Khan use this rumor to attack him. They call him a deviant. They say his house is cursed. Khutulun realizes the danger she has put her father in. Her strength, her independence, the very thing that made her a hero, is now a liability. She has won every fight, but she is losing the political war. She sees the pain in her father's face. He never asks her to stop. He never forces her to marry. He loves her too much. He values her sword arm too much. But she knows she has to end the gossip. So, Khutulun finally makes a choice. She does not hold a wrestling match. She does not ask for horses. She simply picks a man from her father's followers. He is not a king. He is not a prince. He is a loyal, quiet soldier. We don't even know his name for sure. She marries him swiftly, without ceremony. The rumors die down. But Khutulun does not become a housewife. She does not retire to the tent. The war drags on. Her father, Kaidu, grows old. His body is breaking down from decades of riding and fighting. As he weakens, the vultures begin to circle. His other sons, Khutulun's brothers, are jealous. They see Khutulun standing at their father's right hand. They see her influence. They see her 10,000 horses. They know that when the old lion dies, the pack will turn on each other. Kaidu Khan knows this too. On his deathbed, in the year 1301, he makes a final shocking request. He calls his generals. He calls the clan leaders. And he tries to name Khutulun as the next great Khan. He wants a woman to lead the empire. It is a revolutionary idea. If it happens, Khutulun would be the most powerful woman on earth. She has the military experience. She has the wealth. She has the mind for it. But the brothers will not have it. The generals balk. A woman leading the army into battle is one thing. A woman sitting on the throne is another. They refuse. The tension in the tent is thick enough to choke on. Swords are half drawn. Kaidu dies with his dream unfulfilled. Immediately, the family collapses. Her brother, Chapar, takes the throne. And the first thing he does is look at his sister, not as an ally, but as a threat. She is too popular with the soldiers. She is too rich. Khutulun sees the writing on the wall. She takes her horses. She takes her loyal troops. And she rides out to the edge of the empire. She becomes a commander of the frontier, guarding the graves of her ancestors. Her end is shrouded in mystery. Some chronicles say she died in battle, sword in hand, as she was born. Others say she was assassinated by her own brothers, poisoned or strangled in the night because they could never sleep soundly while the wrestling princess was alive. She died at only 45 years old, but her legacy was something that could not be killed. Centuries later, her story traveled back to Europe. It twisted and changed. It became the legend of Turandot, the ice princess who killed her suitors if they couldn't answer her riddles. That famous opera is based on her. But the opera gets it wrong. She didn't ask riddles. She didn't want poetry. She wanted a fight. Khutulun remains one of the most unique figures in human history. A woman who looked at the most patriarchal, violent society in the world and said, "I will not submit. If you want me, you have to beat me." And in the end, nobody ever did.